Let's talk about a relatively unknown reason as to why people think listening comprehension is hard in another language. There are many well-known reasons why listening comprehension is hard. For example, native speakers just talk really fast. That makes it hard. Maybe they have an unfamiliar accent. That definitely makes it hard. Some people just have a very unique voice. That might make it hard. Background noise, that makes it hard. There are a lot of tried and true, very common sense reasons that people already know, usually, as to why listening comprehension in another language is difficult. But today what I want to talk about, as I said, is a reason that people don't think about all that often. And that reason is circular talking. What does that mean? Well, listen, when we are in a language classroom, using a textbook or talking to a teacher, and content is simplified, it's usually very direct. We get to the point. If I'm talking to a beginner language learner, I'm talking to someone, I'm going to try and be as direct as possible. But native speakers, when we talk to each other, sometimes we're not always that direct. We're kind of more circular. We're playing with language a heck of a lot more. And that kind of way of speaking, that manner of speech, makes it much more difficult for language learners to understand. I was teaching a class earlier today, and this is the reasonably advanced class, frankly, but that was the big thing causing them an issue. We're watching this podcast where the podcasters are actually speaking relatively slowly. They're speaking at a rate that, and very clearly, very slowly. Normally, my students would be able to understand people that talk like that in Spanish. But the issue was that these particular podcasters have this way of talking that's a bit, circular. They don't always just get to the point. They go off on tangents and they come back to the main point. Then they start a story and then they don't finish it and they go back to the main point. You're like, what is happening? So as native speakers, we have the ability to follow and comprehend people when they talk like that. But when we're non-native speakers, it can actually be quite difficult. And that doesn't necessarily come hyper natural, if that makes sense. So I hope you guys found that interesting today. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll talk later. See ya. Bye.